Andrea, you want to weigh in there?
Yeah, the grizzly bear recovery coordinator, Chris Servine, told me that part of the reason for taking grizzlies off the endangered species list was in part to show that the Endangered Species Act was having some success and some victories. And, you know, the recovery plan for post-endangered species list survival of grizzly bears in Yellowstone doesn't even consider climate change, which is just unimaginable considering what's going on with the white bark pine trees. So to try to save the endangered species list on the back of a species that's in a lot of trouble, the quality of the habitat in Yellowstone is in pretty steep decline right now, without providing, you know, mechanisms where bears can go elsewhere. In Wyoming, for instance, the white bark pine, there's places where it's doing pretty well because it's a lot colder in the Wind Rivers in the Wyoming range. And if we had the grace and the tolerance to let bears pioneer what habitat's going to be best for them as climate changes, we might still get to have them around. But if we're, like the state of Wyoming has basically drawn a line, you know, a line on the map and said, no bears past here, literally. And it's not a recipe for success, and it's certainly not going to turn into a success story for the Endangered Species Act.
Yeah, the criterion they're using is socially acceptable to Wyoming or Idaho, and if it's not socially acceptable, the grizzly bear will not be allowed there. Well, you know, Andrew just said that's the best grizzly habitat in the Yellowstone ecosystem is going to be the Wind River Range. They're not allowed to go there by the state of Wyoming Game and Fish.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say in the larger sense, too, not just with grizzly bears, but with wild animals that we live with all up and down the Rockies, probably in other parts of our country and other countries, the best thing I think we can do to help save wild animals is protect as much habitat as we can. There's a lot of talk with grizzly bears about numbers, like there's an 80% chance there's somewhere between 400 and 600 bears in the Yellowstone ecosystem. But it's not about numbers, because numbers can shift really dramatically from year to year, and the population of grizzly bears reproduce very slowly, so it can, in a matter of a couple of years, really plummet. It's about habitat and protecting the habitat we've got left so that it's available.
And so they can move, and so everything can move. I mean, with global warming, we're going to need plants and animals to move up and down mountains and north and south, and you know, we human beings have got to change our, basically we need human tolerance to allow these movements, for Yellowstones to go over into the Bitterroots and get up to Glacier and vice versa. The Yellowstone ecosystem for grizzly bears is an island, and it will not survive without some kind of connectivity, you know, corridors, whatever. But I mean, that's big work. It means getting animals like grizzlies under or over freeways. But, you know, we have enough technology and science and engineering in our culture. We could solve those problems if we wanted to.
I want to thank you both for being with us. We've been in Bozeman, Montana, learned a lot here, and our guests have been Doug and Andrea Peacock. Among their books, well, their book together, The Essential Grizzly, The Mingled Fates of Men and Bears. Walking it off is Doug Peacock's Veterans Chronicle of War and Wilderness. He's also written Grizzly Years, In Search of the American Wilderness. As we continue our tour through the country, tonight we're at Linen Building in Boise, Idaho at 7 p.m. Then Friday at Skylight Books at 12:30. Emmanuel Presbyterian Church at 7 p.m. Friday night. We'll be celebrating KPFK's 50th anniversary. On Saturday, I'll be on C-SPAN at 1:30 Eastern Standard Time, and then at the Los Angeles Times Festival of Books. We want to thank all the folks here at Bozeman PBS at KUSM. Our website is democracynow.org to get more on the tour. I'm Amy Goodman in New York. Juan Gonzalez, and I'm in Bozeman. He's in New York. Thanks for joining us.